Okay, now let's have a look on this simple timer and counter ladder logic program. So here the first line shows the use of a timer. The type of timer that we use here is called a TON, or timer on delay. It's one of the most common timers people use. For this timer, the output will turn on after 5 seconds as indicated here when X1 is activated. So in other words, if you turn on X1, the timer will start to work. 5 seconds later, it will produce the output and the Y1 will be activated. Anytime you turn off X1, the timer will be turned off. Okay, that's the function of this timer on delay. The second line is a counter. Okay, this is a counting down counter. So the numbers will decrease whenever you have an input at the counter's input here. The counter needs to have a reset button so that after the counting you can be reset back. So the X3 is doing that. Alright, okay, let's have a look on how they function. So let me just do a login to program. Everything works. Then okay, now we have an error here. So let's try. It's because we are not in simulation mode. So I turn on to simulation mode and try one more time. Okay, so it works this time. Okay, let's see how they functions. Okay, now I run the program. Okay. So let's look at the timer first. Okay, so if I turn on the timer turn on the timer's input X1, forcing to turn on. So the timer began to work. You can see that there's this elapsed time indicating that in 5 seconds then the Y1 will turn on. Okay, let's try this one more time. I turn off the input and then turn it back on. Okay, then now you will see the timing is running, and at the end of 5 seconds Y1 will turn on. Okay, now okay, let's have a look on the workings of, let me turn off this one first. Let's look at the workings of the counter. Okay, the counter, let's reset the counter first. Okay, so I then remove this. Now a counter will start when a rising edge is detected at the input, in our case X2. So if I turn on X2, I force it to turn on, that is counted as 1. Okay, so if I turn off X2 and turn on one more time, so you count it as one more time. So we put the counting number at 3, so we left with only 1 as a number indicating here. This is a binary number. So if I count one more time, okay, one more rising edge of X2, now okay, it will turn on the counter. So as you can see, the counter is now activated. So we notice that even if we increase the X2 some more, I change the status of X2 some more, the output will remain energized. So the output will turn off if we reset this counter, so by X3. So I turn on X3, you will reset the counter, right? So I need to turn off X3. Okay. So that's a basic operation of timer and counter. You have to notice also the variables that we use, right? So we have to use the correct variables. For example, the elapsed time, we need to use a variable time. And the counter, we can use integer. Okay, let me just log out and let you see the settings of the variable settings. So you can see we have variables T1 elapsed time, so they have to be of the correct type.